Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sayyida Alina Batul and I'm a foundation level student in Rehan School. So today I will have Maya on my set. So we will ask some questions from her on the topic of alright and she have to give me answers. So let's start. Hi Maya.
Walaikum assalam Ali. Hey everyone.
So Maya, my first question from you is what does the word alright mean in everyday conversations?
In everyday talk, all right is like a Swiss Army knife. It does everything. Most of the time, it's just a way to say okay or I agree. But it can also be a check in, like asking, are you all right, to see if someone's okay, or even a way to describe something that's just fine. Not great, but not bad.
Okay, so the next question from you is when did the word alright first appear in language?
It's a bit tricky to pin down an exact date because all right is basically just two common words put together. But it really started showing up as a set phrase in the 1800s. It grew out of the idea of something being entirely correct or right in every way before it turned into the casual okay we use today.
Okay, so now can you tell me is alright considered correct in formal writings?
Actually, in very strict formal writing, it's often frowned upon. You'll see some old school editors insist that all right is the only correct version and that all right is a mistake. But even then, all right is still considered pretty casual. If you're writing a serious academic paper or a formal report, it's usually better to use something more precise, like satisfactory, correct, or acceptable.
Okay, so my next question from you is how do some people prefer alright, A-double-L alright instead of A-L alright?
I think you mean why some people prefer all right over all right, right?
Yeah.
It mostly comes down to those traditional grammar rules I mentioned. People who prefer all right usually feel it's more proper because it keeps the two words separate. Of all right is newer and more casual. So for people who value formal language, all right just feels like the correct way to spell it.
How has the usage of alright changed over time?
Let me check on that. It's evolved from being a way to say something was entirely correct to becoming a general purpose word for agreement or status. The biggest shift, though, is the spelling. All right is the original formal version, but all right popped up in the late 1800s. Mark Twain actually used it back in the 1860s. For a long time, grammar teachers hated all right, but it's become super common in music, movies, and texting. Now,
Okay,
both
so
are in the
now can you
dictionary.
tell me what emotions can alright express?
Depending on the tone, all right can carry a lot of different vibes. If someone says it with a smile, it's pure agreement or relief. But if they say it with a sigh, it can sound like they're just tolerating something like a fine whatever kind of feeling.
Can
It can even
alright
be a
show
way to
agreement
hide
and
that you're
how?
actually not okay when someone asks, "Are you all right?" And you just answer, "Yeah, I'm all right," to avoid talking about it.
Okay, so my next question from you is why is alright so popular in modern language?
But let me check on that. It's mostly because of China's massive economic growth. Since they're one of the biggest economies in the world, Mandarin has become a huge asset for international business and trade. Plus, with over a billion speakers, it's just a practical way to connect with a huge part of the global population and dive into really deep ancient culture.
What role does tone play when saying alright?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say it again?
Okay. So my next question from you is, what role does tone play when saying all right?
Tone is everything with all right. If it's short and crisp, that's just a confirmation. But if it's drawn out, like all real, it can sound skeptical or like you're about to disagree. And if it's said flatly, it often feels like you're just giving in or you're actually pretty annoyed. It's one of those phrases where the sound matters way more than the words.
Can all right have different meanings depending on the context?
Totally. Like if you're walking and you trip and someone asks, "Are you all right?" Yeah, they're asking about your physical safety. But if you're arguing with a friend and they say, "All right, let's just drop it," it's more about ending the conflict. It can be a question, an answer, an agreement, or even a way to start a new topic. Context is basically what gives the phrase its meaning.
Can you tell me how do teenagers use all right differently from adults?
Hmm, let me look into that. Teenagers usually use language to fit in with their friends or even to push back against authority, so they're way more likely to use slang, incorrect grammar, or a more casual style than adults. Adults tend to be more consistent and stabilized in how they speak. In writing, you'll notice a huge difference too. Teens often go for a faster pace and more in the moment feeling, whereas adult writing is usually more reflective and formal.
Okay, so my next question from you is all right used differently in different cultures?
Let me check on that. It definitely is. In the UK, for example, saying all right is often just a casual greeting, basically like saying, "Hey, how's it going?" But in the US or New Zealand, if someone asks, "Are you all right?" it usually sounds more like they're actually concerned that something is wrong. So one
Okay.
person might just be saying hello, while the other thinks there's an emergency.
What are some synonyms of all right?
Depending on the vibe you're going for, you've got a bunch. For basic agreement, you can use okay, fine, or fair enough. You mean something is correct, accurate, or spot on work well. And if you're saying someone is doing okay, you could say they're doing well or all right.
Okay, so my next question from you is, can all right be used to be comfort someone?
Uh, I think I get what you're asking. Like, can all right be used to confirm that things are good for someone? Yeah, definitely. Like if you're planning a time to meet and you ask, "Is 5 p.m. all right for you?" You're basically asking for confirmation that the plan works and is good for them. It's a super common way to check if someone is on board with something.
Okay, so my next question from you is, how does body language affect the meaning of all right?
Body language can completely flip the meaning. If someone says, "all right," while nodding and smiling, it's genuine agreement. But if they say it while crossing their arms or rolling their eyes, it's basically a lie. They're actually annoyed or disagree. Even a shrug can turn all right from a confident yes into a whatever, I guess.
Okay, so my next question from you is all right always a positive or neutral word?
Not always. While it's usually neutral or positive, it can definitely turn negative depending on the context. Like if someone asks how your date went and you just say, "it was all right," it usually means it wasn't actually that great. In that case, all right is almost a polite way of saying it was disappointing.
Why do people use short affirmations like all right?
It's all about efficiency. In fast paced conversations, we don't always need a full sentence to get a point across. Using a short word like all right is a quick way to signal that you've heard the other person and you're on the same page without interrupting the flow. It's basically a linguistic shortcut.
Okay, so my next question from you is, how does all right help in communication?
It acts as a social lubricant. It smooths over potential friction by signaling agreement or acknowledgement without needing a long explanation. Helps keep the conversation moving and lets the other person know they're being heard, which makes the whole interaction feel more fluid and less clunky.
Okay, so my next question from you is, why do people use, what is the origin of the phrase all right?
Let me check on that. It actually goes way back to Middle English. The earliest records of it being used as a phrase are from before 1413, even appearing in the works of Geoffrey Chaucer. It's a pretty simple combination of all and right, meaning something is completely correct or in the right state. The one word all right didn't really start showing up in print until much later, around 1884.
Okay, now can you tell me how did all right turn into all right?
I think you might mean how all right turned into all right? It's basically a result of how we actually speak. When we say all right quickly, the two words blend together into one sound. Over time, people started writing it the way it sounded, just like how do not became don't. It's just a case of spoken language influencing how we spell things to make them feel more casual and natural.
Okay, Maya. So my next question from you is, what do
I'm
dictionaries
listening.
say about all right?
Let me check that for you. Most dictionaries see all right as the gold standard for formal writing and professional stuff. All right is recognized as a real word too, but they usually label it as an informal variant. Interestingly, some sources suggest a tiny difference in meaning, that all right can imply something is actually perfect or correct, while all right just means it's satisfactory or okay.
Can you tell me how do teachers usually respond to the use of all right?
Mm, I'm checking that right now. Most teachers are pretty strict about it. They'll usually mark all right as a mistake if it shows up in an essay or a formal paper. A lot of them were taught that it's just not proper English for school. But in a casual conversation or a quick note, they're usually way more relaxed about it. It's basically a case of right place, right time.
So, can you tell me, is all right expected in exams or academic writings?
Let me check on that. In exams or academic writing, all right is usually a no go. Most examiners and professors consider it non standard, so you'll definitely want to stick with all right if you're trying to get a good grade. It's just safer to play by the formal rules in those settings.
Okay, now can you tell me what are some examples of all right in sentences?
Sure. Depending on how you're using it, it can look a few different ways. For agreement, you could say, all right, I'll help you with your project tomorrow. If you're checking on someone, it's like, you took a pretty hard fall. Are you all right? And if you're describing something that's just okay, you might say, the movie wasn't amazing, but it was all right.
Okay, so now can you tell me how is all right used in movies or songs?
Let me check that out. In music, it's usually used to feel positive or reassuring. Think of songs like The Kids Are All Right by The Who or Elvis's That's All Right. It gives off this everything's going to be fine vibe. In movies, it's more about dialogue and agreement. The most famous example has to be Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused with his all right, all right, all right. He actually improvised that, and it became this iconic laid back catchphrase.
Why do writers choose all right in dialogue?
Let me check on that. Hmm. Writers usually pick all right for dialogue because it sounds more like how people actually talk. If a character is laid back or just chatting with a friend, using the more formal all right can sometimes feel too stiff or unnatural. By using all right, the writer makes the character feel more real and the conversation feel more relaxed.
Can all right be used sarcastically?
I think you're asking if you can use all right sarcastically, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's actually one of the best words for sarcasm. If someone tells you something totally unbelievable or annoying and you just respond with a flat, deadpan, all right, it basically means I don't believe you or sure, whatever you say. It's all in the delivery.
So the next question from you is, what is the difference between okay and alright?
They're very similar, but okay is the ultimate all purpose word. It's the shortest, quickest way to agree. All right can feel a bit more descriptive or emotive. For example, okay is a great way to say, I understand, but all right is often used more for reassurance. Like, it's all right, don't worry about it. Okay is more of a signal, while all right often feels like it's commenting on the state of things.
Okay, so my next question from you is, why might someone choose alright over okay?
I'm guessing you mean why someone would choose all right over okay. It usually comes down, got it. I'm
So
locked
my
in.
next
Go ahead with your next question.
so my next question from you is, what is the difference between alright and okay?
You're testing me. All right, I'm ready. What's on your mind?
Is alright more formal? Is alright more
Yeah,
informal than okay?
actually, it's usually the other way around. All right is seen as the more formal or proper version, while okay is the ultimate casual shortcut. All right is the most informal of the bunch since it's basically a slangy way of writing all right.
Okay, so now can you tell me how does pronunciation affect the meaning of alright?
Pronunciation is everything. If you clip the word and say it fast, it's just a quick yes. But if you stretch it out like all right, it can sound like you're skeptical, judging someone, or even being a bit flirtatious. Even the emphasis matters. Stressing the all can make it sound like you're confirming that every single detail is correct, whereas a soft delivery is just a casual agreement.
What common mistakes when using alright?
The biggest one is definitely using all right in a formal essay or an exam. That's a quick way to lose points with a strict teacher. Another common mistake is using it when you actually mean correct. For example, saying, your answer is all right can sound like you're saying it's just okay or barely acceptable, when you might have meant it's completely right.
Okay,
It's all about that subtle difference between satisfactory
so
and
my next
accurate.
question from you is, can alright start a conversation?
Totally. It's a great way to pivot or, get someone's attention. Like if you've been quiet for a minute and then say, all right, so here's the plan. It signals that you're moving into a new topic. And some places, like the UK, just saying all right is basically the same as saying, hi, how are you? It's a
Can
perfect
alright
conversation starter.
end a function, end a conversation?
Yeah, it's a classic way to wrap things up. If you say, all right, then I'll see you later, it's a clear signal that you're done talking and it's time to go. It's a soft way of closing the conversation without it feeling abrupt
Okay,
or
so my
rude.
second last question from you is how does or why is all right commonly used in social media?
I'm ready. What's the second two? It's perfect for social media because it's flexible and fits the casual vibe. People love using all right in captions or comments because it sounds like a real person talking, not a textbook. Plus, it's great for those, all right, let's do this type of posts where you're trying to build excitement or just casually updating everyone on your life. It's quick, easy, and everyone knows exactly what you mean.
So my last question from you is can all right be used to show hesitation?
Definitely. If you say all right and let it trail off with a pause, it's a huge signal that you're not entirely sure or that you're hesitant about something. It's like you're agreeing, but you have a but coming right after it. It's that classic way of saying, I guess so, but I'm not thrilled about it.
So viewers, this was my AI session with Maya on the topic of all right. So I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Alina Batul and Hafiz in Pakistan Zindabad.